Hey Frontline fans, welcome back to Comic Frontline and fans. You're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do that all-important comic book review so you, the fans, can make a decision what comic books to buy. And today, guys, we're talking about this guy right here, the highly anticipated All-Star Batman issue #1. It's written by Scott Snyder. Now, Scott Snyder, after New 52 Batman, we found out that he wanted to do different types of stories. When it came to the character, he wanted to do different villains. He wanted to do just all kinds of different ideas popped in his head. But with the New 52 Batman story, it was more like this singular story. It just went from one little thing to the next to the next. And here now he can explore. He has more freedom and things like that. Now the artist this time around is John Romita Jr. Now this is a really cool cover. And if you're familiar with John Romita Jr.'s artwork, you're going to know what to expect in this. A lot of his characters tend to look a little boxy. They got these jawbones. They have a lot of lines in the characters and whatnot. But the artwork is pretty good. There's lots of detail. I like when you have Killer Moth and Firefly going through the window here. There's lots of detail when it comes to the glass. I think that's really awesome in the book. And there's a lot of action in the beginning as well. The one thing, though, that I have an issue with when it comes to John Romita Jr. and Batman is I don't think he likes drawing the cape on Batman for some reason. When he had Batman, when he was doing Superman, and he had Batman guest star in Superman's book, he always had the cape off of him. He was sitting down without the cape or whatnot. And in this issue, the cape is not on him for many times. And you get to see that for in this instance right here. Now, I don't know whether or not this lump in his back creates a new cape or whatnot. And I know in the beginning of the issue, he made it a thing where he threw off the cape and the cape was off of him. But you get to see this a couple of different times throughout the book. And this is what I noticed about the artwork. Again, lines in the faces, which you notice could be beard, could be scruff. But you look at that in the armor there. Same thing, lots of lines. Here we get some weird dialogue from Harvey Dent, which is in the back of his cape. I don't know if that's supposed to represent Batman thinking of what Harvey Dent said, which was a little unclear to me as well. And once again, we get to see, yes, there's no cape. We wind up seeing him pull out a chainsaw, no cape. And again, this is all one scene because his cape somehow got burnt before he used his cape as a weapon. But then in the next panel, I guess he just picks it up and he puts the cape back on again. So I don't know. It's just for some reason I feel he doesn't like drawing the cape all the time. So could be a thing. It's just me. All right. So enough about the artwork. It's just those little nitpicks. What did I think about this story this time around? Well, the title's name of this story is called My Own Worst Enemy, Part 1. And when I was reading this book in the beginning, I thought, I was like, oh, wow, check out these enemies in here. They're just like kind of like these second-rate villains in here. And I was thinking, oh, wow, this book seems to be starting out like not as wordy as it may usually be, or is not as dark as it usually be. And you get to see these villains come by with like Firefly and Killer Moth. And you get to see this battle erupt. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. I like the way this is starting. And it introduces those characters and obviously introduces Batman, which is really nice. And then as the battle commenced, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm having a lot of fun with this. This is kind of like almost reminded me in a way of like just a little bit lighter toned Batman type of style book. And next you wind up seeing Batman get thrown out by some other villain, and some people are just like, oh, I can't believe you let him here. So you're kind of wondering what the story was really about. So what happens, and when this book suffers for me, is we have a lot of like timelines, a lot of flashbacks. So it goes back to 22 minutes ago, and we wind up seeing that Batman has a mysterious character in the Bat plane. And then right away it goes to 2 hours ago. And so it goes back to Duke and Commissioner Gordon. They're talking about what Harvey did to the city. He released like this acid rain. And as he gets done talking to the commissioner, we find out that Duke doesn't have a name yet. He's not a Robin. He's not this. He's not that. So we're kind of just like, okay, so we're still on the fence with that. So as we wind up going to the I guess 2 hours ago, we focus back even further in the book, and then it goes to 2 weeks ago. And so it goes back to Harvey Dent talking to Bruce saying, Two-Face is taking over. I don't know what he could do. He could do all these things. So it keeps going further and further back in time. I'm like, why do we need to go back in time? And then it goes back to 20 minutes ago. So, okay, so you're going through the book and you're reading it and you're like, okay, that was 22 minutes ago. That's 2 hours ago. Now we're 2 weeks ago, and then we're going back to 20. Now we're back at 20 minutes ago. So now we're back at the plane. So when he's talking to Bruce and everything, we get this whole dialogue story of what's going on, and he's just talking to him, and we find out that if he turns him in, what's going to happen is the whole world is going to know all their secrets. All their secrets are going to be released. And so if the first person can come and turn in Batman, they're going to be the richest person or people in the world that can have everything that their hearts desire. So the next thing you wind up finding is right away you wind up getting to see all the other villains come and whatnot. You get to see Black Spider do this battle against Spider-Man, and he's shooting them up, and then all of a sudden when he gets the upper advantage, Batman pulls out a chainsaw. And I'm like, where did Batman have the chainsaw? Like, where does he stick it? Like, I get it. It's a utility belt, but the thing had to be microscopic size to pull this sucker out to chop off the limbs of the spider. You know, I'm like, that's just weird. You know, it's just weird that way. And so the next thing you wind up seeing is, yeah, there's the cape. And then I guess he winds up picking up the cape and he puts it back on. But I thought the cape was at the other place, or does a new one expand out of its back? I was kind of a little bit weirded out by this. Then you get the crazy restaurant lady that came through that was that when he was in the restaurant earlier. They put a gun to him. They're all putting a gun to Batman because they want this reward for turning him in. And then you get to see Harvey, or Two-Face. And we get to see what he looks like in John Romita's version. So I was like, okay, he looks okay. And you wind up seeing that they shoot Batman in the back. And but that's not the case. Batman's not dead. So he winds up escaping. He takes Two-Face in some two-wheeler or some 18-wheeler, and he's got to bring him to this house. That's where he said he was going to go. And the next thing you wind up seeing is that the end, we wind up seeing Duke talking about this story about, I guess, there's backstory about like how Duke has these colors that are relative to all the other people that trained with him. And I was like, okay, that's whatever, you know. So, I mean, and that's basically how this story is. I mean, that's how it ends, basically. I thought this was cool. I mean, it was a good book, but it definitely had its flaws. I didn't do well with all the time jumping, the 2 hours and 2 weeks and an hour ago and 22 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago. Before then, it was 20 seconds ago. And like, I didn't like all that stuff. And then the story just got way too heavily involved, like too quickly, I thought, at least in my eyes. I don't know. Yeah, they just rushed the dialogue a little bit. I just would have liked to see, I don't know. I don't know how I would pace this book a little bit differently. Maybe getting more interaction with Duke in the beginning, you know, to see who he's working with. And I don't know. I mean, I liked the book. I just felt that all the time jumping was messed up, and it just like we had to shove in a lot of dialogue to get the story complete till we got to the next issue. I don't know. There was a lot of issues with it. The artwork, I had some issues with it again with the whole cape situation. And I just thought this was kind of okay. I mean, for $5, I wanted just a more smoother paced book, and it felt rushed for me. So even though I like seeing all those villains that we haven't seen Scott Snyder write before, I just felt it was almost unnecessary to put them all in there in very many ways. I would have loved to seen a slower pace, introduce Harvey, what he's thinking, you know, get him in the book, whatever it is, and then maybe in the next issue see some of these other villains going after Batman or whatnot. So sorry for the lengthy review, but this is just my thoughts on this book. I'm trying to justify, why I spent $5 on it and why I should continue it. In the end, I'm probably going to give it 3.25 stars. It was nice seeing these other villains, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Guys, leave me in the comments below. Tell me what you thought of All-Star Batman issue #1. Did this let you down a little bit, or were you highly impressed with this book? So again, guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. Until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider signing off. Take care, guys. Bye.